Well, once again, a warm welcome and good afternoon, everyone. We are once again in front of you today with another exciting webinar session and one of the most anticipated sessions and one of the most interesting sessions where the queries generally remain never ending. That's the central motor vehicle rules. We have with us President FADA, Mr. Manish Raj Singhania, Secretary FADA, Mr. Sai Girdhar, Treasurer FADA, Mr. Amar Jatin Sheth, and our CMVR expert, Mr. Kumar Sharma ji. I welcome all of you for this exciting webinar, and I once again welcome all the delegates and members of FADA who have joined today for this session. To begin with, may I request President FADA to kindly share his opening remarks. Manish ji, over to you.
So good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, in fact. And I think as a FADA, our team of office bearers have thought upon it and pondered upon it that we'll be conducting regular webinars to educate our dealer friends and dealer community and to how to govern or operate our business better and in a more efficient way. And today's webinar is very exciting. I know road tax and RTO matters have been a matter of concern always for us, and a lot of queries are always pondered upon our mind and space. And Mr. Kumar ji, our kind of consultant and guiding angel for road tax matter, was kind enough to join us today, and he'll be extending. And I know there would be a lot of queries, lot of issues that you would need to be addressed. We'll try to address. Maybe we'll try to complete in this one webinar, and then if required, we'll take up a second webinar. So, our very own expert, Mr. Sai Girdhar, has also joined today. Now, he has been handling so many road tax matters and transport related matters. I think we have to start paying to him also as a consultant. And he's also under training and guidance of Kumar ji. And I thank Amar Jatin Sheth. He is the kind of office bearer who's initiating all the webinar that would be organized, and this is a second most important webinar that has been organized under his leadership, and I just looking forward to open the session. And Sash,
so I'll request Amar bhai, if you can just welcome all the speakers. Sure. And share some light on the topic, and then we can take it forward.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Manish bhai, for this opportunity for all of us to keep learning regularly. I think the pace of which change is happening in our country certainly needs us to be kept abreast of the latest rules and regulations. The last webinar on consumer protection got, I think, great response. People really liked it, and I'm sure today is going to top that, because this is a topic which concerns us day to day. We have always questions, queries about this Transport Act, and day-to-day dealings with the RTO, etc. Cause us concerns also. And it is very important for our smooth functioning of our dealerships. Of course, we need to be on the correct side of the law. So to know what is right, what is wrong, is something that we are expected to know as being auto dealers. There are multiple things, I think, that we are looking forward to today, and those all arise out of our day-to-day operations. What exactly are the trade plates allowed to do? Where can you give demos to? What are the HSRP rules now? What happens at an MBO? As we all are aware, at Maharashtra and in Delhi, the government has started cracking down on the MBOs. So is it correct the way that they are operating? If I have multiple dealerships, various branches, what are the rules required? So I'm sure today we'll get queries on these, and there will be answers on these. Like Manish bhai said, it's a subject which is very vast. It might not be possible to answer everything today, but we are happy to have another round of this soon. And I'm sure all of us will learn a lot. Kumar ji, who is with us today, is the expert on the CMVR subject. He has been at the additional transport commissioner at Rajasthan, it was actually during his tenure that a lot of changes happened, and we all are, I think, eternally grateful to Kumar ji for driving those changes. He was a voice which made a lot of wheels move. All the new amendments that we see today are, his hand is certainly there in getting all of them see the light of day. Kumar ji also, I think we all are extremely happy that you have driven these changes, and the biggest one that we all, I think, are indebted are for the faceless registration. So that has been a big relief to most of the country where it is in force now, and other places also we are pushing it. So this has certainly changed the way dealerships operate. The whole new car delivery experience to the customers has changed because of this. And we are, of course, looking forward to the complete CMVR being the new rules being implemented in all the states in the country. Thank you for consenting to be with us today and sharing your experience, your wisdom, and your guidance. And like Manish bhai mentioned, again, Sai ji, who is our secretary of the FADA, he's himself an expert in CMVR. I think that also is from the fact that they sit in the same state, and he has been having the opportunity to learn from the experts there. So, but for any things that concern us, all office bearers or anyone else for CMVR, our Saiji has always been available to help us sort out issues. So thank you, Saiji, and thank you for taking the initiative to have this seminar today to improve our understanding of the law. I think without wasting much time, we should start straight away. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Kumar, for the wonderful introduction. And I again welcome you all for this interesting new central motor vehicle rules and regulations. So of late, you must have noticed there are a lot of rules, especially related to registration and the way we operate at our dealership, which have changed. So let me first tell you one thing. All these rules which are changing on a day-to-day basis are done just for the heck of ease of doing business at the dealership, so that we eliminate RTO from registration process. So we don't have to go to register our regional transport officers. We don't have to visit the DTO offices for doing our normal process, which is the registration of vehicles. And being a registration doesn't mean only registration. Registration means even your trade certificate, how you're supposed to operate your business. So of late, there have been 3 new regulations which have come in force. We're going to broadly speak on these 3 new regulations. One is the GSR 703E, which was notified on 14th of September 2022. This is related to the trade certificate, how we are supposed to apply for a trade certificate, whether new or renewal, and what are the process which we need to follow. Second is GSR 901E. This is related to ADRV. ADRV is authorized dealer for registered vehicle. So even the used car ambit will now be under the complete process of faceless registration. And the last but not the least, the major reforms which were done as far as the Central Motor Vehicle Act is concerned, which were through the 240E notification, GSR 240E, which got notified on 31st of March 2021. So I'll request Hans Kumar ji first, sir, if you could please put some light on the GSR 240E, which got implemented on 31st of March 2021, in which probably we are now the applicants. We're supposed to do the registration process on behalf of the customers. So what are the do's and don'ts? Because with every authority that we get, there is some responsibility on the dealership. So if you could just put some light on GSR 240E, sir.
Thank you to all the office viewers and participants in this webinar. I'm thankful to you for inviting me here. I think what I have observed the last couple of years, most of the FADA members have now become legal experts, because they have been facing the problem. They have been taking up their cases to the ministry, to the concerned states, and in times to come, I think they will be at least they will be aware of their rights, their and duties which have been provided in the Act and rules. Before starting, I will let you know that the Motor Vehicles Act first of all came into existence in 1939. Then major amendments took place in 1988. The 1939 Act was replaced by 1988 Act. Thereafter, some minor amendments were made in 1994. In 2019, major amendments were made, and fortunately, I was the part of the committee. Till my minister was the chairing the amendments committee at that time, and we visited 8 to 10 states. Mr. Damle was joint secretary at that time. And after going through the current situations, the technological advancement, the necessity of the society, these amendments took place in 2019. The aim was to one of the major aims was the aim of, it was the amendments were initiated with one major reason, which was after it was they wanted to make it citizen centric. As Saiji said, basically it is for ease of use. That's one of the major objectives was to make it citizen centric, and the IT technology should be used for getting the vehicles registered, getting the applications disposed of, especially the trade certificates, application of trade certificates, etc. Then section 39, which relates to registration, it provides that every vehicle which is required, which is driven or which is used in a public place or any other place, needs to be registered under the law. But there is an exception, there is a proviso which says that central government, by framing rules, may exempt certain people from getting the vehicles registration. So that proviso in this section, that gave the power to the central government for framing rules for trade certificate. Now, person who holds a trade certificate can keep an unregistered vehicle. He can use that vehicle on road under certain circumstances and with certain conditions. There are 4 persons rather who can apply for a trade certificate. One is the dealer, motor vehicle dealers who are dealing in new vehicles. The other one is the agencies which issue prototype certificates, because they also carry out their tests on unregistered vehicles. Third was the manufacturer, and the fourth one is importer of vehicles. When a person is importing a vehicle, he can also keep unregistered vehicles if he holds a trade certificate. Now, since we are not concerned about those 3 category of persons, we come to the dealer, right? Directly we come to the dealer. The first change which took place was, as Saiji said, GSR number 240. It gave an opportunity to the dealer to apply for registration of vehicle which is being sold by. Earlier, the rule said it was the duty of the owner, meaning thereby that the purchaser was required to submit the application to RTO office for registration of vehicles. Now, what change has been made is that the vehicles which are the purchaser, if the purchaser happens to be in the same state in which the dealer is located, in that case, it is the sole duty of the dealer that he will submit the application for registration through Vahan portal, and the Vahan portal has been devised in such a way that immediately, as soon as he punches the application, punches the data into the system, automatically a number will be generated. I think most of the states, the same pattern is being followed, certain exceptions. So this has eased out. This has given you an opportunity. Earlier, what used to happen was that on 5 weekdays, Monday to Friday, the dealer was free to deliver the vehicle. He could get the number from RT offices. But after office hours, on weekdays, after 6 o'clock, depending on the office hour of the RT office, and on holidays, he could not deliver the vehicle because he was not in a position to get the vehicle registered and get the registration mark from the RT offices. So this is a major change which has eased out the business of the dealers. Now, even at 11 o'clock in the night, the vehicle is sold, immediately number is generated. The only restriction is that you have to put a number plate on it. Unless you put a number plate, the vehicle cannot be taken out. You cannot deliver the vehicle to the customer. But it is a very big relief as compared with the earlier rules.
And even the physical
The second thing is, earlier there was a requirement of physical inspection of each vehicle which was received by the dealer. Now this has been dispensed with, and now a general rule has been framed that if RTO or DTO feels, he can inspect the inventory holding of the dealer. Well, he will not inspect the chassis number of the vehicle, but he can very well go to the workshop or to the service station or to the wherever the vehicle is kept. He can very well go there, and he will only inspect the inventory. And inventory has also been made online now. So the essential thing is now that you should be cautious when you sell a vehicle, since once you sell it out, it goes out of your inventory. That register has to maintain diligently, because as the RTO people are losing their power, somehow they will try to control dealers. This is general feeling. Everywhere they have a hard burning, people don't have any power. So certain things are very essential, which I will come later on in my discussion. Certain requirements at the level of the dealers, they should be followed by them diligently, like filling the form number 19 of trade certificate, when a vehicle goes out, when it comes out, when it goes to the customer, when it comes back to you, when it goes to your workshop. So there are very little things. If you update your record, will not give any opportunity to the RTO people to take any action against the dealer. So far as the rules are concerned, now I will let you know about the changes which have been.
So basically, sir, what you're saying over here is that with the new changes, so the dealers are the applicants on behalf of the customer. We can register. There is no need for us to take the vehicle to the respective transport offices for getting it inspected. At 24/7, we can register our vehicles. We can deliver our vehicles provided we have the HSRP placed on the car, and only then we are supposed to deliver. Sir, my one question over here is, what if we deliver a vehicle without HSRP? Because sometimes HSRP takes time, and we are bound because the customer is there. Muhurat hai, is time pe mere ko chahiye gadi. So what are the consequences if a dealer is delivering vehicle A without registration? He delivers. B, he delivers without number plate.
I think it is a very important question which we have raised, because now transport department has barely become a regulatory body, a regulatory authority, and certain regulations will always be there. So this is one of the very important restriction which was laid down in the amendment. Normally, whenever we see most of the vehicles which are used in crimes, they don't bear number plates, and sometimes unregistered vehicles were also found involved, which were involved in commissioning of crimes. This has been intentionally added into the rule, and this is the one of the most important duties, that dealer should not deliver a vehicle which is not registered. If he delivers, the consequences are very financially also, they are very, the burden will lie on the dealer, because the law says if he delivers an unregistered vehicle, then the penalty is 10 times the annual road tax payable on the vehicle. Say if it is a truck, then the mode of payment is annual for a truck. If for example, the annual tax is 25,000 per annum, then the penalty which is to be paid by the dealer will be 2.5 lakhs. That is 10 times the annual tax. But if the vehicle is covered under the scheme of one-time tax, then he has to pay one-time tax. Some of the transport vehicles and some of the not. Say it is a car, and in Rajasthan we have got 11% of the cost of the vehicle as we charge as OTT. This OTT has to be paid as a fine by the dealer, not by the owner. Secondly, you are liable for cancellation or suspension of trade certificate.
Oh.
So it is my humble request, whatsoever happens, don't deliver unregistered. Now the second thing is, vehicle is registered, I mean the number is generated, and you have not displayed the HSRP. That it is a slightly less serious offense. Probably the penalty is 5,000 to 10,000, varies between 5 to 10,000. But again, this makes you liable for suspension and cancellation of trade certificate.
So basically, we are not supposed to deliver any unregistered cars to our customers, and we have to ensure that the number plate, the HSRB, is placed on the car while we are delivering it. Because what will happen is, with these reforms happening, as Sir said, the transport authorities have become more on the regulation side. They're not on the administrative side. So they'll probably be more bullying the dealers, because we don't go to them now for any of our work. So as Sir rightly said, I guess, Sir, what about, there are certain cases when, say for example, I am registering a vehicle, I do all the process. At the final stage, the payment gets stuck because of any IT issues, any connectivity issues, but the payment has been deducted from my bank account, but the payment is not reflecting on the Vahan portal and the number is not generated. Can I deliver the vehicle in that case? Because I have already made the payment, the road tax is done.
Once there is a technical issue involved, that doesn't give you right to deliver the vehicle.
Okay.
Unless the problem is sorted out, because the generation of number is mandatory. Once the number is generated, the HSRP plate has to fit it on the vehicle. So there is no relaxation in on the ground of any technical glitch if it takes place.
What I presume is, so even in case where the customer is opting for VIP numbers, for special numbers, which probably go for an auction, or customer has, there is a cooling period of 7 days, depending on state to state. In certain stages, there is 3 days or 7 days. So even in those cases wherein the customer is applying for a special number, in those cases also we have to wait for the number to mature and for the HSRP.
Yes, the thumb rule is you cannot deliver unless his number is confirmed by RTO office, because in some states the duration varies state to state, because there is a provision in case there are more than one applicant for the same number, then the auction, the bidding process starts online. Unless हो सकता है कि जो आपका customer था, he might not have bidded to that extent to get that number. The number may go to somebody else. So you will have to wait unless his number is confirmed by RT office. Once it is confirmed, then you can deliver the vehicle after fitment of HSR.
So I'm just going through the questions. There's an interesting question being asked from Muhammad Usman. He's saying, what about the case of EVs in Karnataka? There is no road tax. So if there is no road tax, what would be the penalty on electric vehicles if you're delivering electric vehicles without registration?
I think the tax is a local state subject. If I'm not aware of the Karnataka rules.
No, sir. What he is trying to say is that on electric vehicles, since there is no tax.
Even in Rajasthan, they are exempted.
There is, yes.
Even in Rajasthan, they are exempted.
So
I think you will have to see your state laws. In Rajasthan also, I think this is a very good question, and it has been.
So what would be, what I presume is, monetary wise, I don't think there would be much of penalty, but yes, the suspension of trade certificate. If there is no monetary penalty, then the suspension of trade certificate would probably be a must in case of EV.
I think if you raise this question to states will go and amend their rules, and they will say that tax which similar vehicles are paying, one-time tax, which is the vehicle which are two-wheeler which are paying tax. I think rules may be amended by the states, and they may fix some amount as Similarity could be one of the criteria. A similar petrol petrol-driven vehicle, whatever tax is payable there, they can take that as a base value for levying penalty on these vehicles.
Okay.
But
So,
unless there is a law, as on today there is no law. I don't think monetary-wise any penalty will.
So let's be on the right side of the law. Let's not deliver any vehicle which is not registered and deliver only vehicles with HSRP. Without HSRP, let's not deliver any vehicle. Sir, one interesting thing over here is that what about the earlier we used to do temporary registration within the state from one city to another city. Now, what are the changes on the temporary registration intra-state and interstate under the new rules?
The new rules clearly provide for that. In case sale is taking place within the state and the customer is also belongs to the same state, in that case there is no provision for issuance of temporary registration TRC. The dealer is bound to register the vehicle. I don't know what is the position in other states, but in Rajasthan, every dealer can register any vehicle to any person who is resident of this change also took place in section 39, section 40, which says that now these earlier what was the rule? The rule was that application was required to be submitted in the jurisdiction of the registering authority where the person resides or have his place of business. Now, instead of jurisdiction of registering authority, the words have been changed, and now in any registering authority of the state, the words used are in any registering authority of the state. I think we also intend to change the trade certificate rules on the same pattern. I think this has been taken up by FADA, in which they also want that there should be a uniform single trade certificate for the state. That this can be done if the law is amended and if it is clarified that a dealer can apply to any registering authority of the state, then only we will be able to get one trade certificate. On the analogy of registration, we can request ministry change the present rules accordingly.
Sir, there are certain states in India who have probably not fully followed the new 240 GSR rules. Though from FADA side, we are trying for the amendment and for ensuring that all these rules are followed. Now, interestingly, there are two states wherein I know personally, they allow dealers to do intra-state TRC for each and every vehicle. Within the same city also, they let dealers issue TRCs, and then the physical file goes to the RTO for the permanent registration. Now, my question in that case is, fine, so they're not following the rules, okay, that's fine. But from the dealer side, since under the new rule, we are the applicants for the registration, what would be the law? For example, if I deliver the vehicle on TRC to a customer and he doesn't go to the RTO for getting his final registration done, so what would be the law in that case?
You want me to clarify the issue of intra-sale?
So it is intra-sale only. So it is intra-sale within the same, say for example,
where states have allowed TRC.
So for example, if I quote say Gujarat, all the dealers while they deliver the vehicle, they are supposed to do a TRC at the first stage, and then finally the registration happens at a later stage.
I think
so. They get 30 days to get the permanent registration, and then the HSRP is, so the vehicle is delivered on temporary registration, then the vehicle gets permanently registered, and then the HSRP is done. So my question over here is, so that window is for 30 days. Now within those 30 days, if the customer doesn't do his formalities, who will be responsible? If something happens to that vehicle, because there is no HSRP, there is no permanent registration number on that car, who will be held responsible in this case?
The owner, obviously the owner.
The owner.
Not
okay.
in case of TRC, it is the responsibility of the owner.
Okay.
But what they have done is that they have smartly bypassed these provisions. I think they can be challenged because this was not the intention that every vehicle should be issued a TRC. They just wanted to get hold of the system of registration from their offices, because once a TRC is issued, the dealer is not entitled to apply for registration. The fellow will go to the RT office. He will certainly contact an agent or somebody else, and the earlier system keeps keeps going.
So, sir, one more thing.
Can we give a reputation to Gujarat and can we?
So we're already in that process, sir. Sir,
because once this state has done, other states will, especially the south states will follow Gujarat if they come to.
Okay. So, one more interesting change what I'm aware of is under GSR 240 is that the prototype earlier when the new vehicle or there is any changes in the new vehicle, so there was a prototype ARAI or ICAT that they used to give a prototype to the OEMs. OEMs used to forward that prototype to the dealers. We used to submit it to the Transport Commissioner's office. Then every vehicle was passed from the local state transport office to be registered in that particular state. Now, if you could just throw some light under the new provision, under the new act, what changes have been done in this?
I think earlier also the law was almost same, but since digitization was not there and this IT system was not at such an advanced level, so for the benefit of the dealers, what was done that a copy of prototype was submitted to the Transport Commissioner's office, and he used to circulate this order to the various ranking authorities. But now what is happening? This has been digitized. Now earlier also there was no need of getting any prototype approval from the state. There was no need of getting individual approvals from the state. But since this was taking place since 30-40 years, that became a tradition, and some of the states in the meantime framed rules about it. For example, Kerala, they framed rules ki the vehicle which have a prototype certificate will have to be produced in the concerned Transport Commissioner's office. The documents will be verified, and thereafter, after deposition of certain amount of fees, the vehicle will be approved. The law do not permit levy of fees. The law do not permit inspection of the vehicle or any other certification from the state government. That is why this homologation has been made. Now, as soon as the manufacturer, a vehicle comes out from a manufacturing plant, you will find that the details of the vehicle already available on the Vahan portal. Even if a permission is not granted, and if you punch data into the system, you will see that and automatically a number will be generated. Meaning thereby that now things have been synchronized digitally on Vahan portal. Earlier also there was no requirement, but traditionally it was being done, so that is being followed in those states. And they framed a rule. Now, since they have framed a rule, they are in a fix. They will have to withdraw the rule, and no state wants to withdraw the rule unless it is struck down by court of law.
So, primarily what you're saying is that as on day, you're not even required to submit the ARAI certificates or the ICAT certificates to the local state government, since all the vehicles are entered in Vahan by the OEMs, and we can straight away register those vehicles.
OEMs as well as by the agencies.
Okay.
The homologation is that in Vahan you get data from the agency, including ARI, which is approving ICAT, ARI, and other agencies, which are approving your vehicles, which are issuing prototype certificate to you. And secondly, the manufacturer, the process of manufacture started later on when a prototype is granted. So once the manufacturer receives a prototype, he punches the data, whatever vehicle he has produced. That is why when you type limited entries on Vahan portal, the rest of the data is being derived in the system from the manufacturer, from Vahan portal. This is derived. This information is derived, which manufacturer has already put in into Vahan portal.
Okay. So, just going through the questions, sir. There are a lot of questions regarding TRC. One question states that what about commercial vehicles? Because commercial vehicles, they go for bodybuilding. So a dealer has to deliver it with TRC. So who's responsible for the registration, ultimate registration of those vehicles? And interstate, say for example, from one state to another state, if you're doing the delivery, so you do it on a temporary registration. In that case, who's responsible for the permanent registration?
The vehicles which are not sold as fully built up vehicles, TRC is required on those. TRC required because of two reasons. One is it is a chassis. The vehicle sold is in form of chassis, and body is required to be fabricated on it. So the law permits issuance of TRC whether this sale is within the state or it is outside the state. The second thing is if the person who is purchasing the vehicle, he happens to be a person in which the dealer is not located, then TRC is legally issued. It can be legally issued. So legally you can issue it, but if you go through the rules, even in those cases where body has been fabricated on chassis, and if the two persons are the dealer as well as the purchaser are from the same state, even then the law says the application will be submitted by the dealer, but no state is following all this. I'm just telling you the legal position. The law is clear. Even if a vehicle is sold by a dealer at chassis, once a body is fabricated on it, then the fellow should report to the dealer and he should punch his data in the system. The basic law is same. Vehicles sold in the state by the dealer and the purchaser, they are from the same state, then there is no distinction between whether it is chassis or a fully built vehicle. The responsibility is on the dealer, but this thing has not yet been
Enforced.
incorporated in Vahan Code.
Okay. Sir, one more thing, interesting thing, what we've seen in the last couple of years is there have been a lot of mushrooming of multi-brand outlets, especially in two-wheelers, wherein a guy opens a showroom, he's not authorized by any of the OEMs. He sources vehicles from different dealers from within the same city or probably outside that city, and he displays all those vehicles in that particular showroom and he sells it to customers.
I think such practice is totally illegal. The law do not permit anybody to keep unregistered vehicle unless he holds a trade certificate. And the person who is involved, he is not holding a trade certificate. But the person who is supplying these unregistered vehicles, I think some dealer might have been supplying all these vehicles. They are liable for penalty as well as for suspension and cancellation of trade certificate.
So you mean to say that in case the RTO guy comes to that particular multi-brand outlet, he can probably seize all these vehicles, put penalties on those vehicles, and even suspend the trade certificate of dealers who have supplied vehicles to these MBOs.
Three actions can be done simultaneously. One is seizure of the vehicles, and when you apply for release, you have to pay a penalty ranging between 5,000 to 10,000 for keeping an unregistered vehicle. Second is the penalty on the dealer who has supplied these vehicles in the form of 10 times annual tax or one-time tax, whichever is higher. And thirdly, suspension and cancellation of trade certificate. I think the dealer who is supplying these vehicles, he holds this risk of financial penalties as well as he may be he's liable. He is accountable for supplying unregistered vehicles to a person who is legally not entitled for keeping unregistered vehicles.
Sir, I see a lot of questions on HSRP. So as on day, the process is that we as dealers, OEM tells us that from which HSRP vendor we are supposed to source the HSRP plates. And generally those vendors, they delay in supply of HSRP plates to the dealers, which actually probably we have to either deliver the car without HSRP or we face the customer error because we are not delivering the vehicle on time. So is there a possibility wherein we can start manufacturing HSRP in-house? Is there a law to it or is there a restriction to it? And what are we supposed to do if there is any delay? Whom are we supposed to go? Are we supposed to go to the local transport office or to the OEMs? Or what do we do in those cases?
I think manufacturing will not be possible because it is a very technical sort of a thing. It has got a laser branding, it has got a there are so many security features, inbuilt security features. The only thing is that you should report the cases to your OEM and request him to take appropriate action against the vendor. And this supply system can be improved and the time can be reduced.
Okay. So probably what you're saying is that we cannot manufacture HSRP on our own because I guess
you can manufacture, but as a dealer, I don't think.
I guess
as a manufacturer, you can very well enter the market after getting approvals from the concerned authorities.
Sir, correct me if I'm wrong. Every HSRP vendor is supposed to get an approval from ARAI or ICAT before he starts manufacturing.
Yes.
Okay.
There is a system, and there is a panel of persons who are allowed to manufacture plates, but the approval, the system is same. Here, for a vehicle, you are getting a prototype certificate for manufacturing a new vehicle, and there you get a certificate from them regarding the security features, and after getting that certificate, a person can manufacture plates.
So that means for HSRP, if there are any issues from the vendor side, either we have to speak to our respected OEMs, or probably you can raise it to FADA. You can send it. You can send your query to FADA, and we can probably take it with SIAM or with the respected manufacturers for any delays in supply of this thing. Sir, anything else which I have missed on 240E? And then probably
most of the things have
so
been covered.
most
One thing is that the validity of trade certificate is now 5. One thing I will like to just enlighten you. Now the law speaks about two things. One is trade certificate, and the other is the trade certificate mark. Now when trade certificate is a one base thing, and the marks, number of trade certificate marks are to be decided by the dealer depending upon how many number of vehicles at a time he wants to take out from his business premises. Because so far as Rajasthan is concerned, on each sale there is a tax payable to the state government, and even the central law also provide for some fees. I think it is 2,500 for motorcycles for each number. So don't apply unnecessarily for huge numbers. If you apply for 100 numbers, multiply 2,500 with 100. That is the amount of fees. So please take precaution and have a in-house exercise. The requirement of trade registration mark should be jitni aapki requirement is sabse zyada.
Okay. So since we have started talking about the trade certificate, sir. So trade certificate, there have been some major reforms which came through the GSR 703E, which got modified on 14th of September 2022 and were implemented across India on 1st of November 2022. Sir, if you could just tell us what exactly are these reforms under GSR 703 on trade certificate, the validity, what is the process of applying the trade certificate now?
Now everything has been, the applications have been, they are to be put in the VAN portal. The application has to be submitted electronically on the VAN portal. You need not go to RT office. The application has to be decided by him within 30 days. If he doesn't decide the application in 30 days, then there is a provision of deemed approval in case of fresh grant as well as in case of renewal. Secondly, those trade certificates which are valid as on today, which were valid before this coming into this notification has come into effect from 1st of November 2022. Intervening period में जो भी trade certificates हैं, they will remain valid, and when the trade certificate expires and when you apply for a trade certificate, then the trade certificate you will get trade certificate into the amended laws. It will be for 5 years. It will be submitted electronically, and even the certificate of trade certificate will be generated electronically on the system, and it can be downloaded by the dealer at his own end. That is why now it is available online. Every time you want, you can get it downloaded and get it in the form of a hard copy. There is a deemed provision. Thirdly, in case of appeals, I think FAD has worked a wonderful, they did a wonderful thing. Earlier, every registering authority used to threaten them under the garb of suspension or cancellation of trade certificate. Now, what has been done is now the registering authority can report the cases of violation to the Transport Commissioner, who happens to be the head of the department. Now, the power of suspension or cancellation vests in the Transport Commissioner, meaning thereby that it is such a high level where normally it is very difficult to get an order at that level by the concerning registering authorities. So that is a great check and great thing which I think I should congratulate FADA for FADA for doing all these things. because this is a very big security for the dealers now.
So primarily what we understand is that under the new rules, the application or renewal of trade certificate, we have to do it electronically. Again, we are not supposed to go to the local transport office for applying or for renewal of our trade certificates. Sir, the validity will be for 5 years instead of 1 year. And there is a form 16A. Under form 16A, the OEM will certify that he is the dealer. And it is also done electronically. So there is no LOI or there is no copy which we are supposed to send to the local transport office. So everything is done electronically. So under this provision, what about the stock transfer? What about when we send cars from our warehouses to showroom, workshop to showroom? Today we maintain a Form 19 register which is done manually. So what happens under the new trade certificate law when everything is electronic?
The registers have also been devised, the electronic registers have also been devised in the system. Now the entries are to be done electronically and they can be seen by registering authority also. So as soon as the vehicle leaves the business premises, which includes your godown, workshop, service station, showroom, the entry should, I normally in my 35 years career, what I found was dealers are very casual on this point. जितनी बारी ट्रेड सर्टिफिकेट सस्पेंड कैंसिल करना पड़ा, सबसे सरल तरीका हमारे लिए था कि जाकर के रजिस्टर को पकड़ लो, रजिस्टर में एंट्रियां नहीं मिलेंगी, शोरूम की गाड़ियों को मैच कर लो उससे और ट्रेड सर्टिफिकेट कैंसिल कर दो. एंड आई थिंक इतना बड़ा काम आप लोग करते हैं, डिजिटली कर रहे हैं, तो जो भी आदमी देख रहा है उसको प्लीज इंश्योर दैट चाहे 5 मीटर के लिए गाड़ी जाए छोड़ करके उसकी एंट्री होनी चाहिए. क्योंकि अब आप एंट्री नहीं करेंगे तो आप वहां जो सिस्टम में जो बोल रहा है ना, आपकी इन्वेंट्री और सारी चीजें बोल रही है, वहां पकड़ में आ जाएंगे. अब आपको आरटीओ कैसे पकड़ेगा? तो आप यहाँ घुसेगा, शोरूम में कितनी गाड़ियां हैं? 15. रजिस्टर में कितनी बोल रही है? 10. 5 गाड़ियां, या जो बाहर कितनी है? बाहर मान लीजिए 15 है और अंदर शोरूम में 15 बोल रही है, होनी चाहिए 10. वो वही आपको रिकमेंड कर देगा कि. तो डिजिटल जो रजिस्ट्रेशन है, रजिस्टर्स हैं, चाहे इसका एक ट्रेनिंग सेशन कर लें या कुछ ही कर लें, जब आगे चीजें आप करते हैं कि पूरा एप्लीकेशन फॉर्म भर रहे हैं, पैसा जमा करा रहे हैं, सब कुछ कर रहे हैं, तो ट्रेड सर्टिफिकेट तो आपका बेसिक वो सर्टिफिकेट है जो आपके जो बिजनेस इसके कारण आपका चलता है, जो ऑपरेशन आप उनको थोड़ा सीरियसली लें प्लीज.
So there is one more question which I see is an interesting thing. So if a dealer has 3 brands within the same premises, is he supposed to take trade certificate for all the 3 brands or one trade certificate is sufficient? He's got 3 different brands within the same premises. One dealer has got 3 brand dealerships. Is he supposed to take trade certificate for every brand?
जो प्रेजेंट रूल्स हैं वो पढ़ते हैं, अगर इसमें कुछ स्पेसिफिकली नथिंग हैज बीन स्पेसिफाइड अबाउट इट, बट चूंकि जब कहा गया है कि I am applying for a trade certificate and simultaneously OEM is also giving a certificate to me in 16A, meaning thereby that each make and model is linked with the OEM. I think the law is not clear, it is silent on this issue, but I think for every manufacturer or for every OEM you need to have a trade certificate.
Okay. And sir, one more thing, interesting thing is, say for example, we all have test drive vehicles, test drive demo vehicles with us, which are run on trade certificate, trade plate. There are few OEMs who probably tell us to register those vehicles. So probably under the law, if we are registering those vehicles and then using, because registration is done under the private vehicle. A private vehicle, if you are doing a test drive or a demo, that means you are using a private vehicle for commercial purposes, though the insurance claims can become an issue. But what if a dealer is using his vehicles for test drives and demos on the trade plate? So for how long can he use that same vehicle? Is there a kilometer range for say 5,000 kilometers, 10,000 kilometers? A vehicle on trade plate can be used for demo. And what are the precautions that a dealer has to take that he is not on the wrong side of the law?
I think there is no word like demo vehicle in the Central Act and Central laws. It is the use of motor vehicle. There are certain contingencies under which a motor vehicle can be used under a trade certificate. So In fact, the demo vehicle can very well be used by displaying trade certificate. What the dealers have done, that they have assigned fixed vehicles for demo purpose, for demonstration purpose. So I think any vehicle can be used after by displaying this trade registration mark on it, and there is no need of getting the vehicle registered. But I was informed that it is on the insistence of the OEM that the dealers are getting these vehicles registered. Otherwise, I don't think there is a need of registration. Every vehicle is a demo vehicle. Every vehicle which is in the showroom is a demo vehicle. You can very well use it for those 9 and 10 purposes which have been laid down in the article.
So,
and there is law is silent about the number, the kilometers, how many kilometers can run, how long and within what period it will be registered. Because if there is no customer, it will not be registered.
So ideally, if you're using your new vehicles, if you're using your unregistered vehicles for test drives and demos, ideally you should have following documents in your vehicle. One is your trade certificate. Second is your insurance for trade certificate. Third is Form 19. Form 19 is at what time the vehicle was taken out, with whom, the driving license number is supposed to be mentioned on that. And last but not the least, when a vehicle is being driven on a trade plate, you have to ensure that at every time there is a vehicle, there is a dealer representative in particular in that vehicle. If it's a two-wheeler, he has to be a rider along with the person who's taking a test drive of that two-wheeler. If it's a four-wheeler, there has to be a dealer representative. I cannot, as a dealer, we cannot deliver or we cannot tell a customer to take our vehicle on trade plate and there is no representative sitting in that vehicle. Yes. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Secondly, one thing which I think that will create problems for the dealers is that now they have, instead of carrying their trade certificate paper, now what they have done is that they have prescribed a number plate with a red background, red background plate with embossment with a display of numbers in white color. And whenever the vehicle leaves, it has to be displayed in the front as well as in the rear. I think this rule may, plus specifications will be as per rule 50. जो आपके नंबर प्लेट के स्पेसिफिकेशंस वो हैं, तो शायद किसी ने पढ़ा नहीं है इसको या देखा नहीं है अभी, but this rule will create problems for the dealers because that has to be affixed again and again on the vehicle, on a vehicle, on the front as well as on the rear side of the vehicle.
So there is one interesting question. Can a dealer A transfer his vehicle to a dealer B if it is permitted by Motor Vehicle Act? And if so, who has to raise the Form 21? Is it dealer A or dealer B? So probably I'll answer it. As far as transfer of vehicle from one dealer to another vehicle, that's an internal adjustment that you're doing. While you're transferring vehicles, you do the invoicing for the other dealer and it is not supposed to be registered. The transfer process is supposed to be done on the trade plate. So there's no question of issuing any Form 21A on that. Form 21A would be issued by the dealer who's actually registering that vehicle for the customer. So Form 21A gets generated from Vahan only. And I see a lot of people who are saying that online process for trade certificate has not started in Punjab, has not started in other states. So it's a process. It will start. We from FADA are trying our level best. Your local state chairpersons, your regional directors in the states, we are doing licensing with the local state transport commissioner offices, and gradually all these rules will be implemented. So see, land of the rule will prevail. There might be some delay, but it has to prevail. It will be done in course of time. So sir, now we'll shift to our last thing, which is GSR 901. It is related to ADRV. So ADRV is the authorized dealer for registered vehicles. So when I'll just give a background, sir. So from FADA side, we were advocating this particular thing for a very long time with MORTH, because when we do business for used vehicles, the only thing why we are not successful is that we are competing against a market which is non-organized. The local dealers or the brokers while they are selling vehicles, they don't ensure that the vehicles are transferred. They don't pay any GST on those particular vehicles. They don't keep any records of those vehicles. So when you're dealing with those kind of people, our costing, as when we do it in an organized way, our costing is always higher. So we've been able to get this breakthrough as far as the ADRV is concerned. Now every person who is into used car business has to take a trade certificate from the local state transport office, and only then he is eligible to do his business. Sir, I'll just tell you to please throw some light on this particular.
First of all, I will congratulate Mr. Sai Girdhar. He is the first person to get a license in the state of Rajasthan. And then Rajesh Budal is the second one. Basically, the used cars, they used to be a problematic sector for the dealers who were selling the vehicles under the exchange offer or some other offers. Now it has been legalized. Legalized in the sense that now if a dealer who gets a trade certificate from the transport department, if he purchases such vehicle, then now he is legally entitled for getting the vehicle transferred, for getting NOC of the vehicle. He can apply for getting NOC of the vehicle. He can legally transfer the vehicle. He can apply for DRC of the vehicle, and plus the person who sold the vehicle, he is also at ease, because now the total responsibility shifts to the dealer. Now the dealer is bound to get the vehicle insured, since he is entitled for so many things. So he has been made responsible for getting the insurance of the vehicle also. So now I think the major obstruction, the system which was working illegally outside the system, has been legalized, and I think it will keep you in a very comfort zone so far as used vehicles are concerned.
So I'll just put more light on this. The inventory of used car will be maintained electronically. The basic concern for the customer was, when he is handing over the used vehicle to us, his concern was, when will you transfer the vehicle? So now under the new process, there is no urgency of getting the vehicle transferred. As far as the person who is handing over his used car to us, the moment he hands over the used car, the particular form gets uploaded on Vahan, and immediately the dealer becomes the deemed owner of that vehicle. So deemed owner means that at the time of sale of that registered used vehicle, the dealer can sign on his own. He doesn't need or require the customer again to sign on papers. So everything is in our ambit. So as the ADRV authorized dealer for registered vehicles, so that gives us the power to sign on behalf of the customer, and the stock and everything. Again, in case of these vehicles also, if there is any movement for these vehicles from one showroom to the workshop, or from showroom to workshop or warehouse, everything has to be done electronically, and we have to notify it on the site, on the Vahan, that one particular vehicle from my stock is going from A location to B location. So that's how we're supposed to do it.
Second benefit is that earlier, under the old law, it was expected under the Motor Vehicles Act that the dealer will get that vehicle transferred in its own name. Now this condition has been dispensed with after coming into force of these rules.
Okay. Fine. So now we'll take the questions. Indra ma'am, I'll just request you, whatever questions I have not taken, if you would just read out one by one, so that we can take. By the time you do that, I'll just take one thing. We've seen multiple queries on trade certificates, sir. Is a dealer required to take trade certificate for each and every outlet? Say, for example, if in one city we have 3 outlets, are we supposed to take different trade certificates for all these 3 outlets? Or within the same state, we've got one major outlet and then we've got small rural outlets. Are we supposed to take trade certificate for those outlets also? It's probably the same.
Trade certificate is not required for each and every outlet. It is for the dealer to decide how many trade registration marks he wants to have, because the movement has to be
on the basis of marks.
On the basis of marks, trade registration marks. Maximum number of vehicles that you want to take out at a particular time is your requirement of number of trade units. But Second thing which I will like to inform you is that there is nothing like outlet in the rules. The rule says that trade certificate will be given for when you apply, it will be for the word is for places of business as prescribed in law, and the places have been defined, have been listed out in form number 16, where only 3 categories are there. One is showroom, other one is go down. Singular words have been used here, showroom and go down. And the third category is workshops / service centers, meaning thereby that you can have multiple workshops, you can have multiple service centers. So there is no word like outlet. Since the rule says places of business, so these are the only 3 places of business. If you really want to go for some outlet, so you get it inducted in the trade certificate. If it is there in the trade certificate, then you can keep a vehicle after obtaining a trade certificate at that outlet also. And so far as billing is concerned, there is no law, specific law which says कि billing आप कहाँ से करें, वर्कशॉप से भी कर रहे होंगे, कहीं से भी कर रहे होंगे, उसमें कोई रेस्ट्रिक्शन लॉ में नहीं. लेकिन आप गाड़ी वही रख सकते हैं जहां जो ट्रेड सर्टिफिकेट में बताए गए बिजनेस प्लेसेस में से कोई एक होना चाहिए. ओके, अदरवाइज तो फिर मतलब ही नहीं ट्रेड सर्टिफिकेट कि आपने 3 जगह बताई और 20 जगह रख दी ले जाए गाड़ी.
Correct, sir. So there is one question: if a MBO, if a multi-brand outlet applies for a trade certificate for registered used vehicles, will he be able to register new vehicles because there is no mapping of dealers? So I'll take this question. So the Vahan credentials that you get for the ADRV are different from new dealers. So it is not the same. So ADRV would only be doing the work on Vahan which is related to the registered vehicles only. They cannot register new vehicles on your Vahan portal. So I think this answers your query.
These are 2 separate provisions. One is for dealers who are involved in sale of new vehicles, and the other one is for persons. They are two separate entities. A person can work in both the sectors, but you will have to obtain individual approvals from the transport department.
There's another question, sir. Any rule on CMVR to display new vehicles in malls or events? Any provision requires for concerned authorities?
There is a clear cut. The purpose clearly states if you want to display your vehicles in an exhibition or for a purpose of sale, for temporary period you can very well do it.
So if you have a valid trade certificate, there is no permission per se which is required from the local authorities.
But your register should certainly speak about this thing, that these 10 vehicles are standing in that mall under that trade certificate marks, because the movement has to be there in the record.
So again, there is how many trade certificates required for used?
That is, it will be decided by the dealer himself. How many vehicles maximum vehicles he wants to bring at a time out from his business premises.
So another question is: are you saying stock transfer also needs to be done from Vahan to transfer unregistered cars from one showroom to another of same dealer? So what we are saying is that under the new trade certificate law, wherein everything will be digitalized, your Form 19 register will be in electronic form. So the entries which we are doing manually, say for example, from workshop or from one showroom to another showroom, when we are transferring vehicles, we do a manual entry in Form 19 register. Those manual entries will do away, and you'll have to do entries in a digital way on Vahan portal in Form 19 register. So that the basic purpose of this is, see, as on day under the new Central Motor Vehicle Act, there is no vehicle which is required to be inspected before registration. But how do the authorities ensure that you are not delivering vehicles which are unregistered? So at any given time, if your local authority wants to know how many vehicles, unregistered vehicles you have in your stock and what is the location of those vehicles, they will see your Form 19 in an electronic form, and they will come to know, fine, at one particular location you got 100 vehicles, and tomorrow if they want to verify, they can go to your premises and verify. So that is the whole purpose of this. So correct me if I'm wrong.
The stock transfer act for any purpose, if your vehicle is brought out to be used in a public place, that entry has to be there. It could be interest between the showroom to workshop, from workshop to showroom, from your godown to workshop, from workshop to godown. That entry has to be reflected. Earlier there was a provision कि ये करना पड़ता था कि गाड़ी गई और लौट गई. FADA ने जो रिकमेंडेशन दी है उससे उन्होंने ये अमेंडमेंट कर दिया यार गाड़ी गई है तो लौट के आना जरूरी नहीं है. पहले आदमी फंस जाता था कि यार गाड़ी चली गई, डेमो के लिए चली गई, कस्टमर के चली गई, प्रोस्पेक्टिव परचेजर के लिए चली गई, लेकिन लौट के नहीं आई. तो FADA ने जो अवार्ड के नोटिफिकेशन दिया तो उसमें अब टेबल बदल दिए. अब गाड़ी अगर कहीं भेज दी आपने, अगर वो वापस नहीं आ रही तो आने की जरूरत नहीं है. पहले फंस जाता था आदमी कि यार 10 दिन पहले गाड़ी चलेगी, लौट के क्यों नहीं आई.
There is another question: is digital form 19 already available? So yes, digital form 19 is already available. NIC has already worked on it. All these trade transport commissioners, they are aware that the trade certificate is not supposed to be done on digital basis. But yes, the implementation will happen in next couple of months only. So we're giving you a hands up that how you're supposed to be on the right side of the law once these new amendments come into place. So these amendments are for our convenience. Earlier, every year we used to get the trade certificate renewal done, used to visit the local RTO office. Now for applying for a new or a renewal, you're not supposed to go to the RTO office. If within 30 days the renewal is not done, it is supposed to be deemed done. So unless and until there is a objection which is raised by the local transport office. So all these conveniences are there, but we have to do it in a responsible way. There's another question which is asked is, do we need to have 10 TCs in case we have 10 cars to be displayed in 3S facility for demo, delivery, accessories, fitting, etc. So
that has to be decided by you, because for each vehicle you do not have equal number of trade certificates. The thing which has to be kept in mind is how many vehicles you want to take out at a point of time. That has to be decided by the dealer.
So I'll just correct it.
For example,
so the trade certificate is supposed to be one. What we are talking about is trademark. So against one trade certificate, you can apply for n number of trademarks, and on each and every trademark, in case of passenger vehicles, cars, four-wheelers, there's a fees of 5,000 rupees for 5 years. Now, if you take 10 trademarks, that means you can take out 10 cars. You can display probably 20 cars in your showroom. That's not an issue. But for taking out cars from one place to another, for using the car in public places at one single time, if you feel that within your organization, probably at any given time, there will not be more than 20 cars which will be on road. So you have to take 20 trademarks or probably 10.
Yeah, you will have to wait कि भाई मेरी 10 गाड़ी 10 ट्रेडमार्क है, 10 गाड़ी बाहर है तो 11वीं गाड़ी आप बाहर तभी भेजेंगे जब एक गाड़ी अंदर आ जाएगी.
That's correct. Indra ma'am, please help us if we have missed any questions.
So there are questions with regard to the registration. Once you have the dealers have unloaded the the details on e-Vahan, is there a stipulated time by which the registration process should be complete? The 7 days time, that is one. Two, if it is a temporary registration, the 6 months time, which is as per the new rules, what is the benchmark of it? Like 6 months is from the day of the temporary registration issued till the end of that period. So that there are, doubts in many people's mind. Like these are the two things.
No, I agree. Because there are a lot of regional transport officers who say that if you're coming after 5 months, we charge you penalty. So you were supposed reasonable time. They say it is supposed to be a reasonable time. So reasonable time, they make their own definition and they charge penalties to it. That's fine. So we.
इसमें तो मैडम कहीं जब डीलर ऑथराइज कर दिया है तो जो ही वो डेटा डालता है, the number is generated automatically and instantly.
So no, I'll agree. So the 7-day thing is, sir. So what happens is
the 7-day things is for the persons who are residing outside the state, who are carrying their.
No, I'll agree. So what generally happens is during the course of our business, when we are selling cars or vehicles, we do the invoicing. So invoicing probably, say, for example, if invoicing is done on 13th of May, probably by that time, we don't have the payment clarity. We give the invoice to the banker. Within next 2 days, 3 days, he gives us the payment. Then we do the insurance and then we do the registration. So the question here is that from the date of invoicing, are we supposed to complete the registration process within 7 days? One, because now we cannot deliver the car without registration. So what is the provision? Because if you don't do it, then there is a penalty to it. Then the local, while the audit, then the local transport office is putting a penalty on the dealers.
That is under the taxation law.
That's
under this law.
Okay, that's basically for the local state to decide. So
because there are 3 documents. One is the sale invoice, other one is the insurance, and third one is the registration certificate itself. And all 3 will be at different dates.
Yes, absolutely.
So normally some states have issued some administrative orders, and I think we have given a reputation also on this issue.
Yes. So we've given from FADA side, we have given a representation on this, that now since each and every vehicle is delivered only when the vehicle is registered, the OTT, the tax and everything is paid beforehand. So there should not be any audits, there should not be any penalties on dealers. There can be different dates to it. The invoice can be different, the insurance can be different, the entry in Vahan can vary. So there should not be any audits and any penalties on this.
So the period of payment has been decided under the local state law, taxation law. So every state will have to go through their own laws to see whether how many time has been allowed there for depositing tax after issuance of invoice.
So, another question which Indra ma'am said was regarding the temporary registration. So, for example, in case of interstate temporary registration, now the validity is for 6 months. So, if a person is buying a vehicle, say, has bought a vehicle, say, in January from a dealer, and he's taken it to some other state. Now, somehow, due to his own rhyme and reason, he decides not to get the permanent registration done. He decides not to go to the registering authority because there is a 6 months validity to it. Now, just before the end of 6 months, he goes to that particular registering authority and says that now I want to get my vehicle registered. So, what does the law say on that?
Once the TRC is issued, the onus lies on the owner.
Okay.
I think the dealer is not at all concerned whether he gets registered or not. 6 months validity period is there, but simultaneously the rule 47 speaks that where an individual is where there is an interstate sale, the owner is liable to get the vehicle registered, and the period given to him is 7 days plus time of journey, which the time of journey, 2 days, 3 days. If he goes beyond 7 days, then he will have to pay penalty on the tax. The DTO will not refuse the registration. He will register it within that period, but he will charge penalty for every month's delay. Penalty on one-time tax, delay of deposit of one-time tax.
So this validity of 6 months, then what is the validity of 6 months of temporary registration?
There are many vehicles where the requirement of bodybuilding is also there.
So what you're saying is for fully built up vehicles, if it is interstate, then the customer should be advised to get the vehicle registered after the transit time within 7 days.
If you like, I can.
That's fine. So it is 7 days plus the travel time from the state where he's purchased the vehicle to the state where he's getting it registered.
Now, if he do not obey this rule, he do not follow this rule, he is liable to for penalties and other taxation penalties and penalties under the central motor rules and laws.
So,
Indra ma'am, are there any other questions which we have
yes,
missed?
there is one more. Like in case a particular model has closed down, and it was of a time when HSRP plate is not there, and now HSRP plate is required. How do the dealer go about it, to service the customer in getting the HSRP plate? In spite of writing to SIAM and others, this has not been resolved. This is with regard to DC Designs, which has closed. It was 2015
So what you're trying to say is, say for example, DC Design has closed their factory. The customer has still not got his HSRP on his vehicle. So where does he go for getting the new HSRP on his vehicle? That's what you are.
Yes.
Okay. So I guess it is for the local transport office where he has to approach, because SIAM will not help. That dealer has closed. So no one will take the onus for that particular company to manufacture plates on behalf of that particular company. And as far as this rule is there, I think this DC Design closed somewhere in 2014, 15 or 16.
Yes.
So this HSRB rule came into force from 1st April 2019. So all the vehicles which are being sold today by us from 1st April 2019, we are supposed to, it is the OEM's responsibility to ensure that HSRB is there. So prior to that particular date, it was the local registration authority or the local vendor which the registration authority had identified. So it is for the local transport office to get the HSRP for those customers. So anything prior to 1st April 2019, the customer has to approach to the local transport office.
Are these vehicles registered?
The vehicle is registered, but HSRP is not there.
Then if HSRP is not been issued, he will display an ordinary plate. Because for registered vehicles, the state, it is the duty of the state to bring a scheme for a fixation of these HSRP plates. In our state, it is happening. The old vehicles are still flying on old number plates, ordinary number plates.
So another question is Form 16A, is the authorization by the OEMs about the authorized dealers. Now, instead of the authorized dealers, can this form be issued by the OEM to a sub-dealer? If so, if the sub-dealer goes ahead and then registers vehicle, so how can this be?
Ma'am, it is for the OEM to decide. If the OEM thinks that the sub-dealer is a deemed dealer, he can issue Form 16A to that particular dealer. So as on day, in lot of states, say for example, even in Rajasthan, especially in two-wheelers, the sub-dealers have been given LOIs for those particular sub-dealers to apply for trade certificates from the local RTO offices. So if they are doing it for the sub-dealers in Rajasthan, I guess they'll probably do it in the electronic form also. No one can stop them.
I think there is nothing like sub-dealer. It is the word is the bona fide dealer. If he happens to be a bona fide dealer and 16A has been issued to him, obviously he will get a trade certificate.
And being a bona fide dealer doesn't mean that he needs to purchase new vehicles directly from OEMs. Being a bona fide dealer, if the arrangement is such that the OEM says that you are a bona fide dealer and you are being linked with this main dealer and your supplies of vehicles will be through this particular dealer. So even that dealer becomes a bona fide dealer. So the sub-dealer becomes a bona fide dealer.
Right. Another question is, like, since there are many questions on trade certificates and trade certificate marks, and still if an advisory can, come out from FADA, is one request that if a detailed advisory is brought out on the different...
So we'll 100% issue a detailed advisory. We are just waiting for the proper rollout of trade certificate, this GSR 709E in all the major states. Once it happens, we'll roll a complete SOP on this for do's and don'ts.
I will make a request. The local FAD units, I think they should inform the main FADA body about the status of the implementation of rules in their state. Then only we will be able to see at what stage these states are, which state is lagging behind in implementation of the rules. Unless we get a feedback, we will not be able to know the level of implementation जो है वो क्या है state में. तो जो हम बोल रहे हैं अगर ये नहीं हो रहा है, तो इसका अगर intimation दे देंगे तो at least we can take up the case before the concerned states.
So there is another question. Is there a requirement of physical submission of docs in RTO? Until when should dealers stack the uploaded docs with him? So it depends from state to state. As far as the registration is concerned, as per the new norms, it is faceless. Faceless means you're not supposed to visit the transport office. Now, as far as the papers are concerned, while you're getting the registration done, all the papers are scanned and are uploaded on Vahan. So, depending on state to state, there are more states which are going even paperless. Paperless means the original papers are handed back to the customer. We don't keep a copy. The copy doesn't go to the RTO office. The original papers are given back to the customer with a letter saying that as and when you require any changes to be done, or as and when there is any requirement from the local RTO office, you need to present this file with the local transport office. So please secure this file with you. So that's what is happening. I think again you'll have to speak to your state chairperson to probably put more pressure on the local transport office for going paperless also.
Are these digitally signed documents which are being uploaded?
So, sir, all the documents are digitally signed. All the documents are verified by Aadhaar, by OTP.
If these are digitally signed, then I don't think there is a necessity for going for hard copies, because under the IT Act, it allows digitally signed documents. They are treated to be at par with original documents. So when it is on the system, digitally signed, I don't think there is a necessity of we can represent our case before the concerned authorities. Why to create these paper documents?
So, Indra ma'am, please let's take the final question. Huh?
Yeah, I think we have crossed everything, sir. We have covered.
So that's fine. I'll thank everyone who's present there, and back to Saharsh. And just one last thing, this is not the final session. Still, if you feel that your queries are not being answered, please speak to your regional directors. Please coordinate with your state chairpersons and tell them we are more than willing to resolve your queries, to be hand in hand with you if there are any difficulties with the local transport offices. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Saiji. Thank you so much, sir. Amar bhai, if you can share your closing remarks and then we can call it a day.
I think it was certainly an extremely enlightening session for all of us. People have been in this business since generations, but I'm sure everyone learned something today, which they need to immediately implement and correct their processes. There, I'm sure, are a lot more things that we would need to discuss, need to talk about, need to ask, and we are happy to do that. And I think there is a lot of work that still needs to be done in various stages in various states, which as a organization, as an association, FADA is committed to do, and we will continue to doing that to make the lives of dealers easy. Thank you so much, Hans Kumar ji, for sparing so much time with us, for all your wise words. Saiji, thank you very much. You arranged this. And
thanks to all of you also for calling me here. Thanks a lot.
We look forward to the next session, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you once again, all the members. As told earlier, also, we will keep bringing exciting webinars to all of you. And I'm sure a part 2 of the CMVR rules is we'll be doing soon. So keep your questions handy. And once we announce it, you can post it to us. And we'll take it immediately in the next session. Till then, have a great weekend ahead. And it's a goodbye.